Well, thank you again for joining us. I want to talk. We talked a little bit about school department last week. I want to talk a little bit more this week. Superintendent Maria Ponce on Monday unveiled her plan for a fiscal 2024 school department budget, $226 million. The city receiving a big increase in funding from the state through the Student Opportunity Act. Just your response about how well schools have been funded and how you see that this budget will work well for the school department in the coming year.
Oh, schools have done very well, both with the Baker-Polito administration and the legislature, and with Healy Driscoll. They're moving in the exact same direction, which is definitely a benefit for the city of Fall River. We have an additional $20 million, I believe, this year coming in with the Student Opportunity Act. I mean, I was looking back, Keith, I think it was 2016. The budget was $126 million for the schools. Now it's 226. So you're looking at $100 million increase in money. And that's not counting a dollar of ESSER funds, which is another 50 plus million dollars that we have sitting there to help the schools. So there's a lot of resources available to the schools. And I think that bodes well for our students and our buildings and
Yeah.
our families, obviously.
Right, absolutely. As a follow-up to something we brought up last week during your State of the City address, you looked at filing rather a home rule petition with the legislature, which you're looking to help offset some of the city costs for education, primarily in transportation. There are some detractors out there that see that proposal and looking at the cost of transportation, which I believe is about $11 million for the coming year. Some detractors are saying that that would be a cut in education if this home rule petition were to go through. And I know that's not your intent, so I'm giving you an opportunity to just clarify that, to let people know what your stance is with this home rule petition and how it won't impact education from your point of view.
It's always hysterical to me, Keith, that people that never, or that I know of, haven't been in a school since they left, tell people that have been in education their whole life what a cut is and what money means. If you look at what goes on with a city budget, right now our bonding costs for schools is probably $10 million. Our our transportation probably be 11 or $12 million. Our increase in our allocation under net school spending has probably gone up just in the last 10 years, another 10 to $15 million, while we fight with the 2.5 cap on our property taxes. It's actually it's definitely something that needs to be addressed on a statewide level for all communities. If Fall River, as we did with the lost revenue, I tell people this, comes out and leads a charge to change something for the better, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm very comfortable that there is almost no way that they're going to allow a home rule petition for one community to get this kind of assistance when there's so many of our fellow sisters and brothers in government across the state that need help also. I mean, the same battles going on in Taunton, the same battles going on in New Bedford. These increases in both the Student Opportunity Act and Chapter 70 funding in general are a blessing. They're just a blessing, but they do have some downsides to it. And for a community like Fall River that's experienced $100 million increase in their budget, that's been able to bring in staff like we've never seen in my entire career in the Fall River Public Schools, it's the way we can target help for all of our kids, improve our buildings, expand our programs, and the money is flowing. But with that comes a cost to the city side, which, if we can find a way to impress people that school transportation, the way it's funded right now, is very, very inadequate. I made this case the other night during the city council meeting. If someone can explain to me why a student on Bay Street goes to Diamond and the state picks up 80% of the cost of that bus trip, and a student on Bay Street goes to Durfee and it's 100% city funding, why that makes sense, then I will definitely do whatever is needed. But I can't, not one of these individuals can tell you that the 80% for Diamond is more important than the 80% we should be getting for a kid to go to Durfee. With that, with that being said, it's the whole formula is wrong. I mean, you have sports overriding academics for net school spending. I mean, why don't they flip it? Give us the academic money and we'll take care of the sports side, but they don't want to go down that either. So my point is, this is a bill that needs addressing. If I'm able to shine some light on it, and I'm able to hopefully work with some other people, that I think we can expand this to some kind of a funding formula to help for transportation. That's my goal. I think that that's what we should be doing. I think no one, not one person, Keith, that has had that has a different philosophy than I do on this, has said anything that makes me believe that that transportation law is correct. No one says that. No one says, "Oh, that bill's right. That's the way we should do it." No, I don't believe they. That's not the argument. They try to characterize the argument as taking money from the schools, when in actuality it's trying to correct the transportation bill that needs addressing.
Yeah. So what you're going to what you're advocating is that the state pick up that, in the case of Fall River, that $11 million transportation cost. So in effect, there's no cut. There would be no cut. Is that
Right,
correct?
but that's the best of all worlds. But again, we have to sit down and talk to people. I think that that's what I'm going to push for. That's what my plan would be, to say, listen, you treat us like you do, because the word regional, regional, is in the Greater Fall River Vocational Regional School. The word regional triggers the 80%. I mean, but I'm not allowed. Of course, I looked at it. If I could call the Fall River Public School Regional District, they wouldn't let me do that, because we have to partner with another town, which is not available right now, and then it's triggers a bunch of stuff. But I would do that in a minute if they said,
Yeah.
yeah, put regional in your name. I would do that. That's not a problem for me, but that's not the way it works. We have to follow the law, work within the legislature, and do the best we can for the residents of the city.